Welcome to Slasher Sunday. So tonight I'm going to be covering a patron request, but here's what happened. I had somebody requesting that I do the relic. I told them that I had to get to my Patreon stuff, that I couldn't take requests right now unless you became a patron. And so one of my subscribers, Crazy Nut 56, stepped in and became a patron and said, you know what, why don't you just give away my request to somebody else who needs it? I just want to do something nice for people. How fantastic and cool was that? A complete stranger bought somebody else a request on my channel. I was so stunned by the generosity that I had to tell him, like, dude, I will do the relic, okay? Fine. I will bump it up. I'll do it for Monster Monday tomorrow, but I have got to do something for you too. So he picked Henry, Portrait of Serial Killer. And when I finished that movie, I saw that part 2 was on Amazon Prime. So I was like, I'm going to cover that one too. So you get 3 movies for the price of one, just for being a stand-up, kick-ass man, man, dude, whatever fucking you want to say there. Or why I want to say, I should say. So, yeah, how cool. How fucking cool is that? I hope that people acknowledge how awesome that is in the comments so he can feel good about what he did, because he should. That was kick-ass, man. So here we go, buddy. Let's cover Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. This is a film I haven't seen in a long, long time, so revisiting it, I only remembered the family murder scene, which I think is the scene that sticks out for most people as like the most fucked up scene in the movie. Although people seem to remember this movie a little wrong, because I saw people commenting when I said I was watching it that it's really graphic and gory and whatnot. It is not. It's much like Halloween or all these other movies where I talk to people, and when they saw them back in the day, their mind filled in what they thought they saw, and they retained that imagery in their head. Their imagination created a sequence, and that's what they held on to all these years later. And when you tell them that's just not true, then it actually, like, gets to them. They're like, holy shit, are you serious? Oh my God. They're blown away by that. And yeah, our brains have that ability to do that. And I think that's why a lot of people consider older horror better horror, because they like that the filmmakers let you fill in the blanks for yourself. It seems like a lot of people seem to fill it in with much more violent and awful shit than is actually put on screen. And what I mean by that is, like, I've talked to people about Halloween, and they'll be like, oh my God, it was so graphic. It was so gory. And I was like, not only is it not gory, but Michael's kills don't even call for gore. Like, he slits Annie's throat. He stabs Bob, which we see, essentially, outside of it cutting, going through his body, it sticks in. That's not gore, not to me. That's on-screen violence, but that's not gore. Gore is like intestines, eyes being ripped out, faces being pulled apart. Like, that's gore. I'm sure that's not even the context in which you're saying it in, but people need to know the the meaning of a word. And then Linda gets strangled, and that freaking mechanic has some blood on his chest because, I don't know, Michael beat him to death, or he punched him in the nose and he bled to death from a bloody nose. I don't know how the mechanic died. And then his sister, he stabbed her a bunch of times. So I guess his opening kill in the sister would be graphic, maybe. But even that doesn't really cause for that much gore. So it's funny how we fill in blanks with things that really aren't even that graphic, if you were to even have seen them. Now, in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's a completely different story. That would be graphic as shit if they showed it on screen. Imagine the chainsaw scene with Franklin in the wheelchair, cutting him up like this and that. Oh my God. I wish we could have saw that, because Franklin's fucking awful. And I want to see him chainsawed. It's only downside of that movie. I don't get to actually see Franklin chopped up. All right, so the opening credits of this movie start with Michael Rooker. I've never seen that before. Usually they save the with and the and for the end to tack on the 2 known names that were only in the movie for like 5 minutes. So usually it's like, with Michael Berryman and Tony Todd. But this one starts with the primary cast with Michael Rooker. I've never seen that before. Then we get a bunch of close-ups of dead bodies, and it kind of like pans out and it lingers for a long time. And that just sets a really uneasy tone and kind of gets you mentally prepared for the man that you're dealing with. Because throughout the film, Henry, when you don't see him killing, is kind of a nice guy, a gentleman. He meets this guy's sister, and she's, staying with him, and he insists, like, you gotta sleep on my bed, I'll go on the couch. When he sees his brother going after her, he fucking grabs him, and he's like, no, we don't do that. He's not the typical psychopath. That's why I get very frustrated with his typical psychopath background. One thing I love about Halloween, the original, not the remake, not that I dislike Rob Zombie's movies, you guys know that I don't. But the one thing I don't like about Rob Zombie's movies when it comes to Michael Myers is that his background is too generic. And Henry's is the same way. Henry's backstory of what, happened to him as a kid is very Charles Manson. His mom was a promiscuous woman, and she slept with a bunch of men and made Henry not only watch, but dress up in a dress to watch them have sex, and then she would beat him. So that's the kind of story where you're just like, well, of course he's going to grow up to be a serial killer. Almost everyone would. But I don't know. I like that whole, like, Michael Myers came from a good, loving family, and he's just fucking evil. That is way scarier to me, because for me, there's no signs. How do you defend against somebody like that? You can't. There's nothing. There's no leads to that. It's just one day they just snap and kill people after being seemingly a completely normal person, and you would never guess it in a million years. But as I said, when he's older, yeah, he's a little off because he's quiet. So I think that's kind of a little tell there, but not really. I mean, quiet people are murderers. Not all of them anyway. And I don't know, just the way he treats the girl in the diner in the opening, and then, I don't know, that contrast when they kind of push those scenes together, and you got the real nice guy who's at the diner and leaves this girl like a 25-cent tip. Man, back then, I guess that was a big thing. Kind of reminded me of Friday the 13th, the original. When Steve Christie leaves her like 25 cents, and she's all like, wow, oh my God, you're going to leave me? I think it's like 50 cents or something. Maybe it might even be 75. Whoa. I can't remember what it is. It's not much. But yeah, I mean, I guess back then. But I want to say this movie's like 1990. So it looked like fucking 45 cents on there. But he's so sweet to her, and he's like, I love your eyes. I watched this on Amazon for like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. The audio was so horrendous, and I rewound it, and I refreshed it, and I did everything I could. The copy on Amazon is terrible. I watched the one on Shudder, better picture, and the sound was great. So don't watch it on Amazon. It's bad, bad, bad. But the Henry 2 is good, so you can watch that one on there. But do not watch the Amazon one. But yeah, the contrast between the nice guy and the bodies, kind of reminding you of the devastation that he's responsible for, the devastation that he's laid. It's hard. It's a great contrast, because it's just reminding you that this seemingly nice guy is, capable of such horrendous, awful things. The long lingering shots on the dead bodies is very haunting, because it shows us how inanimate their bodies actually are, and reinforces that they're dead. Like when you show a body for a second, I don't know, it doesn't hit home as much as when you linger and there's no movement, there's no breathing. It's just this lifeless fucking corpse, and it just sets, and that image burns into your mind. There's no movement to the camera. It just kind of pans slowly back and just burns into your psyche, and it just reinforces not only is this person dead, but that this monster who has this exterior of this nice guy did this, and that we haven't even got to know this guy yet. It's out the gate telling us what this guy is responsible for before we even get into this. And I thought that was a great tone. There's not even a question of is this maybe some guy who's misunderstood? No, total piece of shit. Although with the title Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, you know what you're getting yourself into. I'm just saying, I think it was a wise move in that regard. Kind of reminded me of River's Edge. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. Keanu Reeves, Crispin Glover, Dennis Hopper, great flick. There's this body down by the river, and they focus on the body a lot in the movie, and they have this long opening shot of her dead body, and it's just an image that's burned into my mind forever. And I feel like these images in the beginning just, and I don't know, there's no respect at all. And I know that sounds weird, but he clearly has no respect for human life at all. The way he discards these people's bodies is just, it's fucked. It's really the best word I got. Oh man, it was tough. You got this woman, she's got her tit pulled out, and she's sitting on on a toilet. He just leaves her on a fucking toilet with I think that's the one with the bottle stuck through her face, which is just such a graphic looking kill. It's an after kill, so that's like the only bit of like makeup, a gore effect that you see is the bottle through the face. But man, what a gnarly ass looking thing. And then you've got the girl who's just thrown in the freaking river, just forgotten. Like that's somebody's daughter. Like that's, I don't know, when films are like this, it's very gritty, it's very real. Halloween doesn't feel real to me. Like the Michael Myers character can feel real, but I don't know why I'm so disconnected. Maybe because not only is the film very gritty in its portrayal here, but that it focuses primarily on the killer. This is his narrative. This is his story. So we're following him. He's the titular character, and this is his film. So we're watching it essentially through his eyes. We're used to the protagonist side of things, but we're seeing this through the lens of the antagonist. And it just gets more realistic that way. I almost feel like you're watching a snuff film at times. And they even make snuff films within the snuff film that you're watching. So it just gives it that very realistic tone. And Michael Rooker plays this so well. I'll get to the second movie, but I will say that I really wish Michael Rooker could have returned for the second movie, because I think that movie could have been pretty much just as good as this one with Rooker. I still liked it. We'll get to it. I was surprised because I thought it was going to be total dog shit. I only threw it on for 10 minutes thinking like, am I going to come back to this? And I very much wanted to. I thought it was pretty good, but we'll get there. And so he sees this woman and he follows her home. He's like stalking her outside of her car. He's watching her, follows her home, creeping on her. Actually very much reminded me of the Maniac remake with Elijah Wood. You can only see him in the rear view. The music is very Maniac. I haven't seen the 1980 Maniac in a long time, so I can't really remember what that was like in that sense. I don't know if that was like that. But maybe if it was, this kind of took from that. But if not, maybe Maniac remake took from this one. I have to watch Maniac again. It's been too long, so maybe we'll look forward to that as a Slasher Sunday. But anyway, but yeah, he follows her home, and when he sees that she has a man, he leaves. He doesn't pursue her anymore. It's like off to him. So as I said, like I think that it would be interesting to kind of go through his mind and try to figure out why he targets these specific people that he kills in the movie. Another thing that he really emphasizes in this movie is not having an MO. He talks to Otis about this throughout the film, and we get this, like, he would never be able to plead insanity. This is all premeditation. He's fully aware of what he's doing. He tells Otis, like, look, you can't use the same weapon. You can't use the same kill. You can't use the same MO, because it becomes like your fingerprint. You'll get caught like that. This is something that he loves doing, and he has become good at it. And as I've always said, you don't know about the best serial killers out there. The best serial killers are the ones that are so calculated and so good at what they do that they don't even leave a trace. They don't leave any connection. So cops could never connect the killing over in Connecticut with the killing over in whatever, fucking Utah or wherever the hell they went. So they just fly around or whatever. Best representation I've ever seen of that, I've said this before, but is in Mr. Brooks. It's just that guy would seriously never get caught unless something really weird happened that was unforeseen. But outside of that, man, he really goes through all the motions. I do think Henry would get caught now, the way he leaves the crime scenes and all that. No, the forensics are too good now. You can't get away with almost anything. Unless you're Mr. Brooks, he really would be hard to catch because you could never connect that he was a serial killer. You would never correlate the killings. But yeah, I thought that was interesting how he very much is aware of what could get him caught. He's not the typical serial killer who's just like this distraught maniac who hides the bodies and, you know, tries to say like, I'll never do it again and this and that. Like, no, he's very, very calculated. He very much understands what he's doing and has a system for how not to get caught and sticks to it and seems to work for him. So after that girl has a boyfriend, he goes and he picks up a hitchhiker, which obviously meets her demise. And this is then where he meets Becky, the sister of Otis. And as I said, he's a perfect gentleman to her, which that makes him harder to understand. He's not the typical serial killer as we would paint them in our heads. And he tells his backstory, which I said I already kind of went into, but he's like, my dad got his legs cut off. And he says that like no big deal, and she doesn't respond to that as a big deal at all. And then she goes into her story about how she was raped repeatedly by her father, and he's just kind of talking to her like whatever. They both don't really acknowledge one another's horrible pasts all that much. But you can tell he really does care for her. And I feel like that even plays into the next movie really heavily. That he does have feelings, but he's just a monster and he can't stop himself and he doesn't want her to get close to him. It's almost romantic in a sense. He's like pushing her away because he doesn't want her to get hurt, but she's so insistent. And then he brings Otis into his craziness. And man, they become quite the little duo there. Otis really is into it though. Not like the next movie, but I keep jumping to the other one, but I'm going to try to stay on track here. Otis tells Becky like that Henry killed his mom, and he's like, never bring it up. And then she starts talking to Henry and instantly is like, so is it true you killed your mom? This is what Otis told me. And he tells the story, and this is a really weird part. This kind of reminds me of the Joker in The Dark Knight, where he tells a different story about the scars on his face, like every time he tells a story, because who the hell knows what's real at that point? Is he making all this shit up? Is he fucking completely delusional at this point? Maybe he did have a great mom, you never know. Maybe he's completely fucking lying, I don't know, because when he tells the story, he says he stabbed his mother to death. And then he tells the story, and he's like, and then I shot her to death. And she's like, didn't you say you stabbed her? And he's like, oh yeah, that's what I did. And it's like, you don't forget how you killed your mother. So for him to fuck up the details, you would think, oh, well, he's full of shit, this and that. But we see throughout the movie, he's killed many, many, many people. So this isn't really something he would normally be lying about. The fact that he's so forthcoming with the fact that he killed his mother, I guess it's not illegal because he did his time. That's what he was in jail for. As a freaking minor, so he got out. But he does refer to her as a whore. So that set him off. But I don't know. Did he kill her? Did he? Yeah, I think he killed her. I mean, that's why he was in jail, right? So how the hell did he kill her? And why did he lie about it? Why is his memory of it so distorted? Is he that fucked in the head? I don't know. And yeah, I already said all that shit. We're going. Becky has huge tits. I had to write that down because I'm a pervert and have to bring it up. So there you go. And yeah, her brother is just disgusting. I mean, he's all over her throughout it. Then he tries to kiss her and Henry fucking loses it on him. And then they go off and they get some hookers together. I think these are hookers, and they kill them. Snap each one of their necks. Henry does both of the killings, and Otis seems to be into it. I guess he just took a shot in the dark, and if Otis wasn't in it, he would just kill him. Like, he just is like, instead of talking to him about it or feeling him out, He just goes and kills two hookers that they're with. And I mean, Otis could have been like, no, but he was like, all right. How many people do you think you're going to be hanging around and you just decide to kill hookers in front of them and they're like, all right, let's join hands. Let's team up and go rid the world. I don't know. It just, yeah, but it worked out. And that's the convenience of the second movie as well, because the odds of you finding someone like that as a serial killer are very low. I will have to say that this snarky electronics salesman cunt face, I was totally fine with them killing him. This guy was annoying as shit. So to see him have a TV smashed onto his head and then they turn it on and the blood comes out and that was great. And I already said that stuff. And then they decide to just go out to kill for fun. And this is after they picked up the camcorder. And they watch a homeless man or a couple of people just beat up a homeless man. That was very random. I guess where they live, this just happens on the regular, and they can just find that anywhere they go. They don't go to stop it, and they just watch it. And then as I said, they film themselves killing this family. They freaking snap a little kid's neck. There is where a lot of people are like, holy shit, they went there. This 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid comes home. His mom sat up on the couch. He stabs the freaking dad, snaps the kid's neck. It sounds gory, but it isn't. It really doesn't show anything. But I'm not going to say it's not fucked up. It's a fucked up movie, for sure. And then Otis takes the footage home and plays it on the screen and watches it and actually gets off on it and wants to rewatch it and watch it in slow-mo. And Henry really has no interest in watching it, which is odd to me because Henry is the one filming it while Otis is doing what he's doing. And then he drops the camera, goes off, and he kills the kid and whatnot. But why is Henry watching? But I guess he watches it with him the first time and seems to be interested. But then when he puts it on again, Henry seems very disinterested. Like the thrill of the kill in the moment is what he gets off on, and Otis loves the memory of it. So they're kind of contrasting killers in this. And Otis is very new to this, and Henry is a seasoned veteran at murder. And where are we? Then the camera gets broken. That's a pretty funny scene. I could have fixed it. Well, he didn't say nothing. He just throws it out the fucking window. And of course I had to think, you took the tape out, right? Of you murdering that family. I thought that was going to come back into play later. Like the cops were going to show up with the tape, because I was going to be like, how the hell is there a sequel? But no, that does not come into play. So I guess he did get rid of the tape. Love the line where he goes into the liquor store and he talks to the guy and he's like, how about them bears? And he's like, fuck the bears. And he walks out. I don't know why that was great to me. I like when people get randomly upset and just yell obscenities at people. That's great. Fuck the bears. You get your ass kicked in Chicago for that. Reminds me of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What's the score? 0-0. Who's winning? The Bears. The Bears. Which, there you go. Freaking Super Bowl's tomorrow, right? But the Bears aren't in it. When the hell was the last time they were in it? Not too long ago, right? I don't know. I stopped following football a few years back. And oh man, Otis fucking goes to rape his sister, and then Henry comes, and Otis actually is kind of getting the best of Henry because he's a big, strong man. And freaking Becky comes over and grabs. I think it's like a highlighting comb. I want to say it's a weaving comb. I think I should know. I'm a fucking hairdresser. And she takes it and she stabs, and that's like the one real cool like gore scene. It's for a fucking fraction of a second, but a stab scene. It's clearly a very it's clearly a dummy head, but I love it. I don't care. Just show me the actual thing going in. Very Fulci of them to show the eye get stabbed into like that. And then he chops Otis up, and so he takes his head and he puts it in the sink. I know it makes it sound like it's some gory movie. It isn't, I swear. Watch the fucking movie if you haven't seen it. It's really not gory, especially when you've seen as much as I have. And yeah, he takes Becky with him. And he's like, she's like, I love you, Henry. And he's like, well, I guess I love you too. And then he kills her, throws her in a suitcase, and leaves her on the side of the road. And for a minute, I was thinking, well, maybe that's not her in the suitcase. Maybe we can just imagine that that's just the rest of Otis's body, and he left her at the hotel. But no, in the second movie, if you're going to count it canon to the franchise, he clearly says to Louisa in the movie that that his girlfriend was murdered, chopped up, and thrown into a suitcase and left on the side of the road. So that's 100% confirmation. She is for sure dead. And yeah, so all right, so that's number one. So there you go, Crazy Nut. And here's your bonus title, Henry 2. I didn't know if I was going to do this in the same video, but fuck it, we're on a roll. Let's get into it. So this one starts off with dead bodies again, so it kind of sticks with the style of the first one there. The thing that would have made this movie great, or as good as the first one, the first one's great, so I guess great, would have been if Henry came back, and maybe even the same director. I liked the script. It was pretty decent. Of course, you have to look past some conveniences. Henry gets to town. He walks into a place, and you've got these people who are running, and he wants a job, and they're like, all right, but you have to start right now. Oh, and you can live at our house. Oh, and and then the guy he meets in the first place he walks into, who gives him a job, starts killing people with him. And he's also an arsonist for hire. And then there's this girl that stays with them who I'm not sure which age she's supposed to be. She's definitely of age. She's a very attractive woman, actually. But I don't know, I feel like they're playing her off like she's a teenager or like a kid in this movie. And she is not a fucking kid. I'm going to tell you that shit right now. But they kind of make it seem like she is. I don't know. That was weird. But all right, so Henry goes into this bar in the opening. This bartender sees that he's thinking about stealing his tip, so he kicks the fucking guy out, and then the guy who comes over just grabs his money and takes it. So I guess that bartender doesn't even get a good tip. And then he goes to a homeless shelter to stay the night, and inside the homeless shelter, he sees an old man run over in the middle of the night and rape another old man. I've never seen that in a movie, so there you go. There's incentive to watch the movie. You get to see old homeless man rape. The woman who plays Cricket is pretty recognizable to me. I've seen her in a few things. I think the most recent thing was that 13 Reasons Why. I think she was in that. And yet again, Henry is very proper when he meets Louisa and she's staying there. He's like, he's very proper with her. He says all the right things to her. He's super sweet, and he wants to pay rent. He's very, very adamant on paying rent. I think I was confusing Becky with Louisa's moment. It was like sleeping on the couch. And I'm like, wait, no. The thing he's gentlemanly about is that he wants to pay rent. That's right. Okay, I was mixing my films up. It's the bully scene. It's the way that Louisa acts, but it's also the bullying scene when the kids pick on her like she's a little girl coming home from school. She even says she's going to school. How old is this girl? I didn't get an age on her. It was very weird. I didn't get it. But yeah, he fucking goes over and he beats their ass, very Peyton style from Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Loved that shit. Little fuckers deserved it. And I love you can hear him in the background when the kids are getting up. He punched us. I'm going to go get my dad to beat him up. I loved the commentary in the background. I love like dialogue that's just very like low background stuff. I don't know why. I've always laughed at that stuff, but that one cracked me up. And the parents come over to confront them, and man, I'm surprised Henry didn't come out. I feel like Henry was told by them to go hang out, but I don't know. Kai and Cricket are the parents' names. Kai and Cricket, interesting names. But yeah, I don't know why Henry didn't come out and do this, but yeah, he's gonna beat the shit out of this guy. And the dad comes, or he even comes back and beats the shit out of Kai with a bunch of friends. And then he says something like, I kicked ass! Like, as he walking away. The son and the dad are equally as funny with their background commentary. And I don't feel like, yeah, that wasn't addressed again. Kind of lame. And then he finds out he's an arsonist. As I said, he just goes down into his basement, breaks into his shit after the guy's courteous enough to let him stay there. And his response is like, you want a job? As I said, the conveniences, you really got to look past them. But it gets really gritty, man. Real dirty again. And I like that about this movie. It feels Henry for the most part. I feel like Henry exhibits a little more emotion in this movie than he does in the first one. Henry doesn't lose his shit too much in the movie, except for when Otis is trying to rape his sister or kiss his sister. Those are like the two scenes where you see Henry kind of lose it. But I feel like Henry's on edge in this movie because of the regret he feels from killing Becky. You can see that actually weighs on him, that he has a conscience when it comes to her. And yeah, I feel like the actor in this does an okay job. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's great. I feel like he's in the middle. I wasn't huge on the guy. It would have been way better if it was Rooker. Way better, but that's to be expected. And so they go to burn down these houses, and I don't know how forensics was back then, but the guy uses tons of accelerant, which he said is like 50 million times faster. I think that might be an exaggeration. 5 million times faster? Any million times faster is an exaggeration, to say the least. But yeah, that's like any crime show I ever watched. That's like the first thing, like insurance investigations. They go and they look for accelerant used to see if that, people are scamming and burn down their own buildings. So yeah, the accelerant thing, I was like, is this before that? Or did the writers just not know about that? I don't know. But you can't get away with shit anymore, as I said. And then they find a couple of meth heads that are hanging out in this building. Good thing they found them, otherwise this would have turned into Saw 5. But they take them out and they shoot them to death. And the friend doesn't really seem to be into it, but he still goes out and kills people with him anyways, which is interesting. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't know how believable it is, but he just keeps kind of going out with him. The guy who plays Kai in this movie looked a lot like Oliver Reed. I'll have to say that. I kept thinking it was him, but I knew it wasn't. But yeah, just him killing him, and then they kill this mechanic, and they go and they beat him up, and the guy stabs him and all this. I don't know. He just never seems into it, so I'm not really sure why he's doing it. Henry is a bad fucking influence. And then the boss who sends them out on these little fire missions, he threatens to kill Henry. Ooh, big mistake. That guy's going down, and you can't wait till it happens. He's like the electronic salesman in this movie. You just want him dead instantly. Henry kills a vagrant window washer because he upsets Kai in the car there. So he gets out and he beats the shit out of him and kills him. That's an overreaction, but hey, your friend is annoyed and you do that for him. How sweet. Henry says that he thinks about killing himself because of what happened to Becky in the last film. And as I said, that kind of just gives more merit to the fact that he probably actually has emotions and feelings for this person. And he says the only reason that he can't kill himself is because the victims' families, the people who are left who hate him, he doesn't want them to, what he says, win. So the only reason he stays alive is because he feels like the haters will win. The people who hate him will get a victory. That is some twisted ass shit, man. I like that line. I like that mentality there a lot. I'm curious on how many fires are being lit around this area. Yes, he says they drove like 100 miles out and 100 miles back, but there's just fire after fire after fire. It seems like they're doing them like one after the other. And they almost pick up these young chicks. They were like super close. Those girls might have actually been underage, but they buy him some liquor. They were definitely under 21 because they couldn't buy, but they try to take him back. And these girls are like, okay, we'll go with you. Like, and then their boyfriends pull up. I think they're their boyfriends. Their friends pull up. The friends I guess they were waiting for, but they were just going to leave the party. Good thing those guys showed up because those girls would not have made it through the night. So they saved their damn lives and they'll never know. I mean, it's crazy to think about, really. Like, especially with women. I mean, how many times have you been stalked and you didn't know it? I'm probably freaking somebody out right now. How many times have you almost died and didn't know it? This is true of anybody. Like, there's something that could have happened and someone prevented something that would have killed you. And you'll never know. You'll never be thankful. You'll never think of it. You know? I mean, how many people were almost killed by Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer? You know, any of those guys. You never know. You never know. So, I don't know. When I see stuff like that, this movie kind of, those girls they'll never know. They'll go on their whole life and they'll just, did you ever have any run-ins with anybody bad? No. Everything was good. Weird to think about. And freaking, yeah, I mean, and Kai, like, kind of brings it home with him, and he can barely keep it up during sex with his wife, and then his wife's like, you need to get Henry out of here, and he snaps on her, he almost kills her. I think, no, it's after that she just says, like, you need to she's like, you're a fucking loser after he can't get it up, that's right. And he freaks out on her, and he's like, you stupid bitch, you never shut the fuck up, why can't you ever shut the van? And she just is like, Kai, he's gonna kill her. Like, he's just about to kill her. And she just brings him out of it with like honey, Kai, whatever. And he's like, oh my God, I like instantly apologizes and feels awful for what he's done. So yeah, this is at the point where he's went too far into it, which I think kind of makes him more of a compelling character than someone like Otis, someone who is just, instantly a bad guy, who's the obvious like sister raper, murderer, has to be put down. Kai is a more compelling character, to be honest. So I think that this is one place where this film maybe succeeds more than its predecessor. The girl that he kills, he smothers this girl. He gives Kai this pillow because he decapitates the husband in the bed and shows the head to Kai, and he just can't handle it. And then he makes Kai go over and try to suffocate the girl, and he can't do it. So Henry takes the pillow and he suffocates this girl in, 5 seconds. I get it. It's a film. They need to speed up time, so it's not being realistic. But I always find it funny because people run out of oxygen in 10 seconds. And they fight, and he actually freaking is about to kick Henry's ass. He has him pretty beat up, but then Henry strangles him and lets Kai live. He's like, you got to listen to every fucking word I say from this point on. So Henry does have the ability to stop himself from killing in the moment if it best suits him, I guess. And man, this Louisa girl seriously has it hard for him in this movie. Holy shit. I guess girls like mysterious guys, right? We all know that. Oh my God, they want to fix us. But he's the only one that listens to her. He's not judgmental. He finds out that she tried to kill herself, and he doesn't, overreact. And I'm sure she's just, and he says, I tried to kill myself too. That's when he brings up the Becky story. And she feels like they're connected. So much so that after that, everything happens, she says, I'm going to kill myself if you don't stay here. If you don't love me, if you don't stay with me. She comes on hard, and he's like, you're not going to kill yourself, and fucking just leaves the house. And then when they come back to the house, sticks a gun in her mouth. This is for you, Henry. Shoots herself. Fucking depressing scene, man. There's a lot going on in this movie. There's a lot going on with Kai, with Cricket, with Louisa, with what they've set up with Henry and how he's dealing with Becky's death. This is not a shitty sequel. So for anyone who's like, this is total shit, not this. No, if this was Michael Rooker, I bet this would be a loved sequel. But because it's a different actor who is inferior, as expected, it's shit on. But as a story, as a continuation, I think it's actually a good follow-up movie. And then Henry goes and grabs the gun and shoots Kai, shoots freaking Cricket. Doesn't react at all. Like, we don't even see Cricket's death. She's just like, she's like, no, Henry, and shoots her. Like, they're dispatched as fast as his mind processes things. They're meaningless to him, so they're meaningless to the screen. He just grabs a gun, shoots him. Even though they're main characters of the film, you would think their deaths would be more eventful. Yes, that isn't Kai's full demise, but it's just he dispatches them so fastly, Jesus Christ, so fast, because they mean nothing to him in that moment. Like, he's had another person he's cared for, because he pushes Louisa away for that very reason. He's like, I don't want you to get hurt, so I need you to stay away from me. The last person that got near me got hurt. I'm not doing this to you. And then she kills herself, and he snaps, kills Cricket. He injures Kai, ties him up, and then he uses Kai's, ironically, his house burning method against him, and lights him up. And he's like, please don't burn me, as he's sitting there. And then he lights him on fire as he leaves the house. He throws in something, and then all you hear is Kai screaming bloody murder as he's being burned to death. Henry drives off as the screaming continues. Credits. Dark. What a dark ending. This is a dark movie. They took this movie just as dark as the first one. Holy shit, this is a grim ending. Girl shoots herself after they just murdered a family, kills the family, burns a guy alive, and just drives off into the sunset, yet again getting away with everything. Movies don't usually go this way. So I have to say, man, wow. The title of this movie is pretty stupid to me. Henry 2, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It should be Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer 2. Anyway, little nitpick. But have you guys seen these? Crazy Nut. Did you think you were getting the second one as well? Like, obviously you didn't. Have you seen it? Do you like it? There you go. You got an extra one. Thank you for doing that. That was so kick-ass. If you have a request, you want to join my Patreon, the link is down below. Request a movie. They have a bunch of different tier levels. You can request an entire series. I haven't done a ton of them still. I still have a ton that I would love to get to. So if you got a series you want, or a Slasher Sunday, a Monster Monday, a random request, whatever, go check it out. Support the channel. Thank you guys. Good night.